Hello, it's Dawn Michelle and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a journal update. So I wanted to share with you some of the tarot journals and practice journals and other types of journals that I keep. So I'm going to go through them in, fairly decent detail. I'm not going to divulge a ton of personal information, so I might skip around here a few pages here and there. But I just wanted to kind of touch base and share where my journaling is as of, April of 2023. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is the journals that I work in regularly. Some of these are fairly new to me, and some of them will be journals that you have seen all throughout this year. Now, my journaling practice on the whole ebbs and flows, and I've made lots of videos over the past few years about how I journal, the types of things that I journal. I have a whole 3-part series talking about various ways to journal. The one thing that I'm not including here is deck-specific journals. I do have a dedicated video where I share the journals that are specifically geared towards certain decks. Like I have one for my Ophidia Rosa, I have one for my Nicoletta Ciccoli, and things along those lines. So I'll just link that one below because nothing much has changed where those are concerned. I still work in those journals whenever I work with those specific decks and in those specific practices. What we're going to talk about here today is more of the journals that I'm using more recently and more in a, not necessarily daily, but certainly weekly or monthly practices that I have. So we're going to go ahead and start with the main journal that you all pretty much see every month, and that is my main sort of tarot journal. But really this month in April, it has really just turned into my monthly medicine journal, and that's probably what its focus is going to be here moving forward, at least for the next couple of months, because I want to really dedicate this space to that practice. And I also have another journal that I am using for other tarot readings at this point. And I apologize if you can hear my dog wandering around, but that's just what he do. Okay, so my main tarot journal, or really what has become my monthly medicine journal, is the one that I have here. And this is in a A5 Chic Sparrow cover, so a leather cover. And in it, I have a A5 Stology. So this is not a fancy journal by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's in a fancy cover, let's be honest, but the journal itself is a pretty inexpensive, readily available journal. And I did that on purpose because I really wanted this journal to be something that I was comfortable just doing whatever in the moment. And you'll see as I'm going to flip through it a little bit, you'll see that I've got sort of that in the moment thing going on here, and then I'm going to kind of shift and transition, and we'll see that happening a little bit more ritualistically in another journal that I have. So this says my tarot journal, but for the month of April and probably the next couple of months moving forward, because of what's going to be planned for monthly medicine, this will specifically be my monthly medicine journal for the next few months. I did set an intention. Here was January. So I always print off the covers of the monthly medicine that I create, and I just print them on vellum. I listed my decks, and you'll see here that in these first few months, like here's a simple Sunday reading. This was monthly medicine. I had some additional readings that I did just kind of in the moment. There's some doodling. Again, this is, I think, monthly medicine. I use a lot in this one. I use my Canon Ivy. So I'll touch on journaling supplies here and there as I can, and I'll link what I can in the description box below. This is my Canon Ivy. It came in this little zipper pouch, and it's just a little pocket printer. So there's an app on my phone. I take a picture and I send it to this little printer, and it prints out these little pictures. Now the card size is roughly this size, so the size of the packet here, but I usually cut them down to just be my cards, and then I also usually round the corners. The corner rounder that I use for journaling and everything else that I do that needs a quarter rounder is a Katamaro Pro. This one I've got X's on because I know that this one is not for cards. I do keep a separate corner rounder for when I mod decks, because modding cardstock or clipping cardstock with these can be harder on the blade, and they don't last quite as long. Although honestly, I'm like going on 2-3 years with my at least 2 years with my card cutter one. This is my paper cutter one, and I've had it for probably 4 to 5 years. So they last a really long time, but I just like to have one for each. That way it never, I never use the wrong one, basically. So I do my little printouts with my little Canon Ivy. My stamped letters here are just usually my alphabet stamps, and then I use various colored pens. Just to touch real quick, I think I've done journaling videos where I talk about my supplies. I love this Sarza vintage pen pack. This just happens to be the green one. There's a lot of different colors in it. Use my Tombos all the time in here. My writing pen in this particular one is a Uniball Signo. That's the main one that I use there. Always keep whiteout correction tape on hand. And then I do a lot of the little additional fine line work with a micron. I have them in various colors, and usually I use the 05 and the 01. Those are the main ones that I use. My stamping is just with an archive ink pad. I also use a little date stamp. A lot of times you'll see that here. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Glue sticks, when I stick things in, I usually use an Uhu stick. And when I don't feel like messing with glue, I use Tombow adhesive tape. So that kind of covers the basics of my journaling supplies, and then just random things that I find here and there. So you'll see that at the start of the year, this was really just whatever goes kind of a journal. I put in any sort of readings that I did. Here's February with our Cosmic Awareness. Again, I have decks listed. Here was March that we saw not too long ago. And I think this is where I started kind of to shift away from using this for other things and really just focusing more on the monthly medicine in here. And I think when you see what we're doing in April and when we get to that, why that just kind of became a thing I did. I did also do this tip-in insert. I actually did a video on this, so if you want to see how I put this in here, there's a video on that, and this was a reading that was sent to me with a deck that I got, so I wanted to tip that in. So that's just a page that I literally taped into this journal. This is my pencil board because all of these sticker thingies add bulk, and so I use a pencil board to not only mark where I am in the journal, but also to create a flat writing space behind. So let's jump on over to the monthly medicine for April, and you'll see why I've kind of started to do this. Now, I don't have my cover page in here yet, so I need to put that in, the tip in for the page. But basically for this month, it is a storytelling adventure that we're doing. And so I wrote the whole story in here. And then this is all the intro story. It's also a narrated adventure that we're doing. And then I work my cards in, my card pulls into the story. So mixed in here is the story that I wrote for the adventure that we're doing in April. And then I have the my card pulls just mingled into there, written as the story. Here we're meeting with the baker and we're having this whole adventure. So I really, because this is a continual story and the way that I am working with the monthly medicine is including my readings as the story. So in the first full week, we go to the fairy ring and we have our adventure there. So I've intermingled that with the actual writing. So because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of that story for the monthly medicine, I started moving the majority of my other readings that I really wanted to keep into another journal that I had started around the spring equinox. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one because this is just, you know, kind of my monthly medicine journal. It's really basic. It's just a plain grid notebook in a leather cover, and then I just do with it what I feel like I need to do for that particular month. So in March, around the spring equinox, I started writing, keeping my more ritualistic readings in a separate journal. Actually, I was just writing them on a piece of paper because I had ordered this Archer in Olive notebook and I was waiting for it to get here. So I wrote them down on a separate piece of paper and then transferred them over when it got here. This is a A5 Archer in Olive dot grid journal. I think this is the cover from, that is the collaboration with Plant-Based Bride. So I think that's her design there, but I really just love the dark green color. It was so fitting for like my aesthetic and what I was doing this year. So my intention with this journal is really to record my more ritualistic, significant readings that I want to keep record of. So these aren't the little readings that I might do throughout a day or throughout a week that are just like, what do I need to know right now, right? That's not stuff that I really need to record for later on. These are more things that are practices and rituals that I am consistently working on and working through. I have not put my title page in here yet. I'm not a big fan of this book belongs to pages because like they all belong to me and they don't go anywhere else. So I don't need every journal in my office to say it belongs to me. I usually cover these up. This one has the beautiful printed pages in it as well. Now I always tape the fly page, so there's always that page that's connected to the fly page that doesn't quite open up all the way. I always tape that together. This particular journal comes with 2 bookmarks, so I have this one here set to my lunar calendar. This is just a doodle I did. It's just a tree. I might add something to this, maybe an intention or something like that, but as of right now, that's how it's sitting. This is my lunar calendar, the new and full moons, and these might shift slightly because they are based on my time zone in the Pacific Northwest. So I started this with a spring cover page. My practice is very seasonally based anyway, so rather than dividing this one up by months like I do in my monthly medicine or my main tarot journal that we saw, this one is going to be divided up in a sense by season, only meaning that I'm going to do a cover page for each season, and that's really all it is, just so that I can tell when the shift of the season happens. So this was the cover page I did for spring. It's just a doodle of some leaves and then some book page, some stamping, and some craft paper. So nothing too terribly fancy. This is my new moon and Aries spread. So again, like I said, I started this around the spring equinox, and I realized when I put these my readings that I had already done prior to actually receiving this physical book, I put them in backwards. So you'll see that my actual spring equinox reading is after this, but in the timeline of my life, I did that one first and then did this new moon and Aries spread. So again, lots of paper collaging. The thing I really love about this is it lets me explore really creative artistic journaling. And you'll see that like I just let it be whatever it is I feel like it needs to be, whereas I'm not trying to stick to a particular method or theme or anything like that. It's just whatever I feel called to create in the moment. And I've kept many, many books like this over the years. You've probably seen various ones if you've been around here on my channel for a while. This is one of my favorite ways to actually journal. And the only reason I stopped doing this was because I was like, oh, it takes a lot of time and like I need to just do something that's more simple. And that was fine for a time, but I did find that I really, really missed this, and I liked having a place a book that I can come to that is all my sort of more ritualistic, my sacred reading. So this is kind of like my sacred book. When I do readings in here, there is usually some sort of a ritual or intention with it. Sometimes there's things that I do that maybe are a little bit in the more magical sense. And sometimes the ritual itself is just the reading and the art of paper collaging and writing out my reflections. So this was my new moon in Aries. I used the Mary L, the Kali, and the Stunning Tarot. And then this was actually my spring equinox reading, which I did them, I think on the same day, like one in the morning, and I think I did the new moon at night. Yeah, I did them both on the 21st. So I did this one in the morning and the new moon in the evening. It doesn't really matter. It was really funny because I pulled the actual Whispers of Spring card from the Fairy Wisdom Oracle, and it was just kind of funny because like I shuffled and that was the card that I pulled at random. And then I have the Mystical Fairy Tarot that I did my reading with. This is my spring energy. Then I had my kind of wrap-up message with the fairy blessing cards. My main focus was growth. That was what came out of this reading. I have my reflections here, my message, and then I just did some doodling. This one I just did doodling and colored pencil. So this was my April sort of month ahead reading that I did, and I just did a really simple 3-card reading. I had my oracle message with the earth magic, and then I had my 2 tarot cards on either side with the heavenly blooms, and I just wrote my little reflection here. This was a card pull that I did just in the moment, not the same day I did this, just as at some point, like I felt like I needed to pull in a little bit of energy. I need to have a mindful moment type of a thing, but it was something that I wanted to kind of take forward into the month with me. So I put that here. It's just a full-size color copy. Now, unlike the monthly medicine journal that we saw previous, I'm not using my Canon Ivy for these. I'm actually photocopying all of these cards. These ones, I reduced the size to 50%. I literally cut them out and paste them on the page. This one is actually just color copied full size, so it's beautiful and takes up the whole page, and I love that. It does take longer to do this, but I really love the look of it. The Ivy is great for when I'm just doing kind of more quicker readings, or I'm doing like a lot of readings. So like a monthly medicine reading can be up to 3 readings a week. And so that's just a much quicker way to get the cards in there. This is more of an art experience for me. And so I like to actually print and, photocopy, print out, and cut the cards and paste them in here. So this was a channeled reading that I did. So for the last few months, I've been doing a channeled reading usually around the start of a month to provide me with some channeled energy to move forward into my creative works primarily, and like what I need to know about that and how I can best integrate that throughout the year. So I used the Gateway of Light Activation, aka my portal deck, the As Above Tarot, and the Earth Wisdom Oracle. This is my favorite combination for this reading. I love the way these decks work together. I channel from above down into, my realm, and then pull up the energy from the earth into that. So I'm kind of taking the above and below and channeling it and pulling it in toward B to help me kind of fuel my work for the month. So that's a channeled reading that I did. And the last reading that I have in here, and I can tell it's the last reading because here is my little bookmark. The one that has the little Archer and Olive logo on it is usually the one I keep just either the last spread I did or the first blank page. So let's just move it so it's out of the way. You can see that I don't work in here all the time. This is just when I have significant readings to do. So I did my full moon in Libra here, and I did kind of a torn paper. I was just feeling very into this vintage. I really needed just a lot of support. The full moon is not my favorite time of the month. I find it very exhausting, and so I tend to go for my softer, more supportive decks during that time. I used the Pear Tree Court Oracle, which I paired with the Victorian Romantic Tarot, and that was my message for the month. So I will work in this throughout the rest of the month, but it's not a journal that I put every single reading in it. If I just do a reading for, an energetic check-in for right now, or what do I need to know for today, or like whatever, it's not in there. Like currently I have these 2 cards sitting out. This is from a new deck that I've been exploring that was sent to me for review. It is the Magdalene Manifestation or something like that. So I have these 2 cards out because I've been doing some work with them, but they're not like in any of my journals. They're out. I'm working with them, but I don't necessarily need to record what I'm doing with them. And I think I have a whole video on like when I don't journal. So all the readings that I do that I don't actually journal, there's a whole video for that too. So I'll leave that linked in the description box below because it might be really interesting to see what I don't journal versus what I do. So this is more of just like my sort of ritual intention journal. I did have, and I think I might have even said at the beginning of the year, like I used to have my full moon and new moon readings in separate journals that were related to the deities that I worked with during that time. I have since decided to put them in here, and my deity work is all going into one journal because I'm finding that as things change and as my life changes, that work is kind of bleeding into each other, so it's not so cut and dry as like one moon phase to the next. So I've been moving the readings here. I am still working with those deities during that time, but the readings themselves are going in here separately. So this is kind of like my ritual tarot journal. It's the journals, the tarot readings, the polls, the whatever that I do that are more significant, that have a bit of a more ritualistic aspect to them, or things that I'm continuing to work on or work with, or energies or intentions that I'm setting, they go in here. Whereas the monthly medicine practice is going in that separate journal. So the last kind of tarot related journal that I have to share with you is one that I've shared actually a couple times now. And this is my Decan Walk journal. So this is a journal that I have dedicated specifically to that practice. I'm not going to flip through a ton of it because I do actually have quite personal stuff in here. This was the cover page that I created. Here's the, a little bit about the information. I still have not put my Decan wheel in here. We'll see if by the time I get around to the next time I show this, if it'll be in here or not. Again, I've already shown this, but this is the glyphs for everything, the key concepts for all of the different phases, the elements, who's the ruler, exalted, all that kind of stuff. This is the section on Aries. So at the time I am filming this, we are in Aries 3. So that's what I've been working on. And I've been doing just a lot of writing. There's just a ton of writing in here. So I, again, just photocopy my cards and I paste them in here. I've only been pasting in the actual cards that relate to the Decan. So any other cards that I pull or any other readings that I do, I'm not putting copies of those cards in here. I'm just putting the, noting what they are. And then that just gives me lots and lots of writing space. So because that is really what this is about. It's more about my personal experience walking through the Decan, or the Decan wheel, or the Decan, taking the Decan journey, and not so much about like making pretty pages. So while I do try to make pretty pages, that's like not the focus of this one. This is about, doing my readings, putting my reflections in. Here's Aries 2. Again, there's a lot of personal stuff in here, so I'm not gonna dive too far into this, but I pretty much do the reading that Marlena puts out for us, along with the Decans as we've been changing. So I've been doing that as my kind of entry into the current Decan. And then I've been checking in with it throughout that 10-day period, which I've been recording in the reflection area. And usually either somewhere in the middle of the Decan or at the end of the Decan, I've been doing an additional reading to kind of look at how that energy is evolving for me and how I'm working with it. So that's been really fun and I've been really enjoying it. But again, for the most part, it is kind of more about the writing and the reflections and less about the more decorative elements that we've seen in some of the other journals. So that's my Decan journal. So the other two journals that I am working in fairly regularly are my dream journal and my divine conversations journal. So this is my dream journal, and I'm only going to show you bits and pieces of it because like this is super personal stuff. This is a notebook therapy notebook that I bought like I think sometime last year and just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. I bought it because it had the orca on it, which is like one of my main animals that I associate and work with. Orcas first showed up for me in dream form, so to turn this into a dream journal just seemed like the perfect thing to do. This book belongs to. I just put a big moon here, and I doodled a bunch of flowers to cover that up. This is sort of one part recording my dreams as well as researching dreams and also researching anything to do with portals. Portal energy is also something that I'm working on exploring, but that's also very much a dream-based exploration as well. So that gets mingled in here. I have here just writings from different books that I'm reading, and I note who they are. In the back, this one also has two little bookmarks. So the dark bookmark I have at my current page, and then this white bookmark in the back here. I've been making just a resources page. So anytime I'm writing something down from a book, I can note that in here, and then I can just note which book it was by the author's name. So I just use the author's last name to note, and I'm only working through one book at a time currently. So this is all from the Alchemy of Your Dreams. This little page here is writing about why I'm doing this thing. And then I have a page again of notes from a book I'm reading, and then this was about a dream that I had about black holes, or a black hole featured in the dream, and I deconstructed the dream, wrote down the symbols and stuff like that. And then so like we have a lot of that in here. I did end up doing a reading around it. So occasionally I do readings to gain some further insight, and I'll again just do my reading and put my Canon, just take a picture with my Canon IB and pop it in here. Again, more about the dream. Sometimes I just make notes, like a quote from a particular book. This was the last thing I was working on, and again, these are notes from books. I can also tell they're notes from books because anything that is not my own reflection, I'm using a dark gray pen for, and anything that is my own thoughts, feelings, ideas is written in black ink. So similar to like I do with my tarot journal, those color associations just help me really quickly and easily tell what's my ideas and my thoughts and my reflections versus what is something I picked out of something, some more other resource. So that's my dream journal in the notebook therapy. And the last journal that I am currently working in, which I'm not going to open up and show you, is my sort of divine conversations journal. This started as a journal for my work when I was working with Isis. And then as I've been working with other deities, and like I said, that practice is kind of intermingled. And sometimes I work with more than one energy at a time. So this is a B6. It's in a chic sparrow, again, notebook cover. This one I think is a Darcy. And I just have a B6 Stology in here. So again, nothing fantastically fabulous. Like it's just a grid-lined notebook. And there is zero decoration in here. This is just all writings about work I'm doing with specific deities and interactions, things like that. Prayers, reflections, some petitions, whatever it is that I'm working on. It's all just started going in here. So I'm just collecting it all in one place for any of that sort of divine work that I'm doing or with certain deities. So there you go. That's a quick update on all of the journals that I'm working with, primarily my dream journal, my Decan journal, my sort of ritual readings and interactions journal, and then my Stology, my plain tarot journal that is currently right now just housing my monthly medicine work, and probably will for the next couple months because of the types of work that we're going to be doing over the next few months. So I hope that was helpful. I will try to leave links for whatever I can in the description box below for you. If you have any questions about how I journal or the things that I'm doing in my journals, definitely feel free to leave it in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.